Welcome back to the Surfing Your Edge podcast. I am Kristine Goad, your Surfing Your Edge coach, and I wanted to continue the story I started in the last episode or in the beginning of this first episode or whatever. We don't know yet how we're going to structure this, but anyway, I started a story about my cross-country bike trip, and then we talked about a little bit about how that led into my learning to surf. But I want to back up just a tiny bit. Okay, so it was 1998 when I did the cross-country bike trip, and it was the scariest thing I had ever done, and the most adventurous, and the most me I had ever felt. And I loved it. And when I came home, we already talked about the fact that I was super depressed and didn't know what to do with myself and was really looking for someone to help me bring what I called bring myself home, right? The self that I found on that bike ride, I could not figure out how to bring her home and help her survive in the everyday real world. And she felt so close. And I just felt like I could reach out and touch her, and yet I couldn't bring her fully into this world. I didn't know how to be fully myself in this world. And it was incredibly frustrating. And yet, because you have to, I struggled along, right? And 20 years later, on the 20th anniversary, I wanted to celebrate that. And I talked to my colleague. We already told this story. I talked to my colleague. Um, about, I wanted to take people to do something scary, like learning to surf, and then come home and support them while they used what they learned on that surfboard to actually change things that mattered in their real life. And once I realized that surfing was okay, once I realized that it was okay that I was scared in front of my people, and that might actually be an ideal place to lead from, then I was off and running, and the Surfing Your Edge experience was born. And what it is it's an 8-day retreat. We go to Panama. We do all kinds of things, but included in the Panama retreat are 4 days of learn to surf lessons on a baby beach, black sand, baby beach, no scary coral to get caught up on. We don't go in over our heads, all of that. I mean, it's very, very basic. But at the end of those 8 days, we come home together as a group. We stay together as a group, and we actually when you're there, when you're in another country and you're on vacation and you're taking that hour to just soak in the sounds of the jungle and the birds and the waves, and you're in a hammock and, nobody is asking anything of you. In moments like those, and in moments where, we're having amazing conversations over dinner or by the pool, whatever, you start to get a different vision for what your life can look like. And so, what a lot of times people do is they go on an amazing trip and they think it's going to change their lives. They go home, they show the pictures, they share their phone with somebody, and the person just like flips through very fast, looks at all the photos. It's Monday morning, you're back at work, and all of that just kind of goes poof, right? And again, it's just outside of your reach, right? She's right there, but can you get her back? Um, and I didn't want that experience for my people. So when we come home from this 8-day experience, all jazzed up and all newly envisioned, with this new life, this new direction for our life. We don't have to change everything, but new steps we want to take. I want to make sure that people have the support they need in order to make those changes that they want to make. So we stay together as a group and with individual coaching for another 6 months. So that is the Surfing Your Edge experience. And I remember the day I created it. I was sitting on the floor in my living room with a notebook and a pen and just writing down all of the things and why it was important. And when I got done, this realization hit me that I had just created the program that I needed at the end of the cross-country bike trip. This was what I had spent 20 years figuring out how to support somebody who had just done something big, how to support them when they come home and want to become the new person that I don't even want to say new person. That sounds like it's a lot of pressure, right? But you saw something and you want to come home and you want to see what that feels like in the real world. And so that's what Surfing Your Edge does, right? I created the program that I needed in 1998 that I could not find. And when I figured that out, that all 20 years, basically all of my 20 years had been leading to this new place in my life, this new creation, I got really, really scared, right? Like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been building toward. Here it is. It's beautiful. What if I share it in the world and nobody gets it? What if nobody wants it, right? So then the work became, how do I put this in the world in a way where people can see it and I'm being vulnerable? And that took a lot of work because basically I started um, putting little posts out on Facebook about it, right? And no response, nothing, 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 nothing. And I was listening to Dana Wild one day, and she is a mindset coach, and she was talking about how to help somebody win. They wanted to win the cruise on in their MLM business, right? They had to sell so many products in a certain amount of time and they wanted to win this cruise. And the way Dana said to do it was to 3 times a day for 3 minutes each, imagine that you had already won the cruise and imagine what that felt like and what you were going to do. And I'm like, okay, I can adapt this. So what I did was I imagined that I was writing my list of attendees for my retreat, and I just filled the last spot. And I, pictured myself jumping up and down and calling my husband and running over to the corner where I'd been, gathering all of this stuff for the gift bags and, getting all excited. And so I did that every day, 3 times a day for about 6 weeks before I started to feel like the person who could actually lead that retreat. That was the big thing. I had to be able to show up in the world as the person who knew she could lead this retreat, not as the person who was hoping she could lead this retreat, hoping somebody would see it and recognize it and want to be part of it. So for 6 weeks, I did daily visualization and practiced feeling what it felt like to be the person who knew that she could do this. And that's when the very first person finally saw my post and said, "Oh, that looks cool, but I don't have a passport." It's like, okay, here we go. And so within a couple of conversations, I had this woman and I had figured out that you can get an expedited passport. You can do all of these things. And the most amazing thing started unfolding for her. She got her passport in like 9 days. It was insane. Um, Money that she did not expect just like showed up to help her fund the trip. When she asked her sister to watch her son, she said yes. So basically she said yes, and then the world said, okay, fine, here you go. All right. So that is the backstory that I didn't get to in the last episode. So I wanted to fill that in a little bit before we get back to Panama. All right. So on the morning of the second day, before we had gone out and done our next surf lesson, I was in the shower and I caught a whoosh. What that means to me is that when I before, when I was still envisioning what the surfing your edge experience might look and feel like, I was still testing it out in the world, right? I was still, like I said, I talked to my coworker. I had gone to a 3 day in-person event in San Diego with my very first coach ever, Ryan Eliason. And Ryan was an amazing coach. He's off living his life now and isn't coaching anymore. But at the time, he was phenomenal. And he had pulled together a group of us from around the world that were some of the most interesting, exciting, motivated, world-changing kinds of people. And he decided that he was going to surf his edge and create his very first live event. And he called all of us together and said, "Can you come?" And a lot of us wanted to come, not only because we loved Ryan, but because we wanted to meet each other, right? So we all converged on this crazy packed morning to night 3 day event with Ryan and watched him shake on stage because he was trying to do all the things that you do when you do a 3 day event and say all the right things and and he did a beautiful job. He did a gorgeous job, but he was nervous. And he was nervous in front of us. And we wanted to support and love him for that, right? So again, that was more support for the idea that I should lead from a place of vulnerability, and that when you lead from vulnerability, people rally around you. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional here. So we all went, we loved on each other, we loved on Ryan, and he would ask questions throughout the 3 day event. And you'd raise your hand and there were multiple times when I raised my hand and he looked right at me and then slid right on by to the next person, and he did not call on me. When he finally called on me, it was after we had just done an exercise where it was a bucket list exercise. And he had asked us what was on our bucket list. What had we been putting off that we didn't want to put off anymore? He told a really touching story about a cross-country motorcycle trip with his dad before his dad died. And he wanted us to talk about the thing that we didn't want to put off. And this time, he called on me. So I stood up and I said that I had been terrified of open water my whole life and that I had been dreaming of taking people to learn to surf in some beautiful place like Costa Rica, and that I wanted to then help people who learned about themselves on the surfboard come home and surf their edge at home. And the room erupted. I mean, there was just 300 people just cheering and saying, "Go do that. Go do that." And of at the end of me speaking about this and everyone cheering, Ryan invited the room to send a whoosh to me. And that whoosh arrived 10 months later when I was standing in that shower getting ready to go out for my next surf lesson. So it was about 10 months from the time that I stood up in that room and said, "I want to do this," to when I had it planned. I had a client and I actually traveled, you know, to a new country I'd never been to before and was leading this retreat. And all of the love of those 300 people found me. So that was probably that in and of itself, if nothing else had happened that entire trip, that probably would have been enough just to feel that whoosh, to to realize that I had created this thing that was still very, very new. And then I was just testing, right? I was still in the testing period. It was pretty clear to me that my client was loving it and that it was gonna be a go. But just that I had taken that risk, that I had trusted Anne, this person I just met, that she would help me create this beautiful experience for people in a place I'd never visited, and that I just had the courage to put it together, put it out there, talk to people about it, and go. That for me was the true surfing your edge experience, that I had created the thing that needed to exist in the world. All right, so it is day 3, I believe, of the Panama trip. We've been in Panama. My client and I have been in Panama City. We've done some amazing stuff in this little eco resort where we start out, and we've traveled across Panama to Veraguas, and we're on the Pacific Ocean, and it's been a 6-hour drive in pouring down rain, and we get there at like 4:30 p.m. We have a 5 o'clock surf lesson. The very first thing we have to do is this surf lesson. So we get there, we throw our bags in the room, we get dressed, we go out um, to the surf lodge where they're like picking out our surfboards. And I'm a big girl. So they give me this gigantic, gigantic stand-up paddleboard to be my to be my surfboard. And I have to carry this thing down this long road. I've since fixed this, right? We don't carry surfboards anymore. We have a van drive us. But and for this retreat, I had to carry this big, heavy ass sup board down this dirt road in the rain. And I was terrified. I was already terrified. I created this program because I wanted to address my fear of open water. And here I was, minutes away from getting into the Pacific Ocean in the rain, and I was not doing very well. And my client was just bouncing down the road, just happy as could be, chatting with the surf instructor. And I'm in the back, just carrying this big old board and just cranky as all get out. I'm just in my breath, under my breath, going, it's my retreat. I shouldn't have to carry my own board. And I don't want to be here in the rain. And anyway, we get to the beach, and it's a beautiful, huge, wide, black sand beach, gorgeous, island off there, and beautiful waves rolling in, but it is still raining. And there is lightning out over the ocean. Lightning. And my surf instructor speaks English, but it's not his first language. I think it's probably his third language. And um, we had been clear as we could be leading up to this, that we were going to be older women who had never tried anything like this, and we needed somebody who was patient. And get I get to this beach, and he's like, okay. And he's showing us, he's like, we're gonna work on the beach. We're gonna work on how to pop up on your surfboard, and then we're gonna go out. And I will be out there with you. And we're not gonna, and I'm just like, no, there is lightning out there. And I'm stomping my foot, going, this is not how I want to learn to surf. I am not learning to surf in lightning. And he's like, well, if you are, the only way you're gonna have any issues is if you're touching the bottom. And I'm like, I don't know how to surf. I'm going to be touching the bottom. And I was just I have this vision of myself looking down and just watching what was happening, but I was stomping my foot on the sand and just being like, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this. And finally he said, okay, fine. You don't have to surf today. We'll do some pop-ups on the sand, and then we will just go out and we'll ride in on our bellies, and we'll just get to feel what it feels like to turn the board by shifting our weight. And somehow I let that be okay. And so we practiced, laying down in the sand and this leg and then this leg and popping up and so we did the whole thing, and then um he let us out one by one and push, we'd flop up on the board and he'd push us in, and I didn't die. But I've got to tell you, when, I'm only 5'4", and these waves were coming in and they were over my head. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going any farther. And he's like, yes, yes. So the whole thing was this major argument with me and this very sweet young man telling me it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And he kept, and actually his phrase was, it's normal. It's normal. It's normal. Everything for him was normal. And my my client loved it, and I survived. And at the end of the day, I was like, it's really good that I had to get out of a van and go straight into the water. Because if I had had more time to stop and think, who knows if I'd gotten out there on my belly, right? I might not have gotten out there at all. So when I look back on it, I was like really grateful that I made myself immediate that was the first thing we had to do. Um, but it was not pretty. And my client, who someone had gone to high school with, we weren't close then, but enough that she knew something about me. She was just kind of shocked to see this person that I became on that beach. But the good part of this story is that the very next day we went down to the beach, and my client and I and the person who was supporting us on the trip, all three of us stood up on our boards for the very first time on our second day. So we all got a ride, and it was like, oh, we can do this. And that was really exciting. My client and I were both 49, and and Anne, our lovely guide, actually turned 60 on that trip. So she learned to surf for her 60th birthday. And I think that is amazing. So, um, what I want to say about this is that I did not immediately overcome my fear of open water. I fought with it on the surfboard. I fought with it when we were snorkeling because I had never snorkeled before. And I told my sister I was going to learn to snorkel. And she's like, learn? What do you mean you got to learn? You just put your face in the water and swim. I'm like, okay. Well, for me, I had to learn. So, and I had to, yeah. So I fought with it. And then at the very end, as my little treat to myself, after my client had flown home, I stayed an extra day and went out with Anne on a whale watching boat, 20 miles straight out away from the shore, where it's like, if this boat goes down, what are you gonna do? And I, dealt with my fear doing that. I'd never been that far away from shore before. So I did all of that. And then the next year I did it again. And the next year I did it again. And that was 2018 was our first one. Last year in 2025, I bought a stand-up paddleboard and started paddleboarding in the middle of the Patuxent River. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of a river by myself on a board. So things have shifted. I would not say I'm terrified of open water anymore. Um, I have a healthy respect for open water, but I can snorkel now. I can surf now. Well, I can learn, continue taking surf lessons now. I would definitely not call myself a surfer. But I am proof that my own process has worked for me in terms of overcoming my fear of open water. But the thing that one of my clients figured out in the second year that we ran it was that it's really not about the surfing. You go, we call it surfing your edge. You do play around on a surfboard, but it's not about the surfing. It's really about you getting out of your comfort zone in any of a number of ways. Like my first year, Tracy, my first client, her big fear was leaving the country and leaving her son. She was a single mother. She had a son who was still in high school and she had never left him alone before. So she was leaving him. She didn't have a passport. She didn't speak Spanish. You know, one of her friends told her that Panama was not where a blonde American woman should go, that she might never come home. And so she had all of these things going on in her head. And other clients have other issues that they're dealing with. Not everyone goes because they want to become a surfer. Most people have never thought about surfing, and they've all got their own edge that they are exploring, right? For some women, it's even just the ability to give themselves permission to go, to spend the time and the money on a trip that, gets them out and seeing whales and dolphins and, monkeys in the wild and, trying new things and just trying new food and being in a place they've never been before. Just giving yourself permission for that is a huge challenge for a lot of us. So, anyway, I just want to make it clear that it's not just about the surfing, it's about whatever edge you want and need to address. And then when you come home, there's the how do I bring this person with me? How do I show up as that carefree person who was playing on a surfboard, or that woman who, saw something different for her life when she was floating in the pool, whatever. It's it's powerful work, and it's not just about the surfing. So, what I want to say here as we kind of wrap up this second part of this story is I would not I cannot imagine my life without the Surfing Your Edge experience. I don't know who I'd be if I hadn't created it. And I would love it if you'd come play with me sometime. Um, but even if you'd never come play with me, I'm wondering what adventure of whatever nature, whether you leave the country, you stay in the country, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, emotional, what adventure have you been playing with in the back of your mind and not given yourself permission to fully sink into? And what would it look like if you took the first step toward giving yourself permission to do that thing? All right. And if you feel inspired, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to send me stories about your own adventure, about something that changed your life, about an adventure you would love to engage in. Or even if there's just a longing and you don't even quite know how you might respond to it, send me a message. Let me know. I love, love, love talking about these kinds of things with people. So I hope you will reach out, and I hope you will also join me in the next episode. Until then, I am wishing you wonder. Thank you for surfing your edge with me on your way to becoming your bigger, bolder, badass self. This week, choose one idea from today's show that made you curious or furious, challenged you, or made you want to try something different. Play with it and see what happens. I've always got a special gift for you, so click the link below to find out what it is and come back next week to catch a brand new wave. Until then, I am wishing you wonder.